right, welcome back, everybody, to Cool Times Podcast, where we talk all things cool about the cold storage construction industry. We are your hosts, Jenna and Vince Free. We are joined today with our second podcast of 2023 season. Excited about this one. It's my boy from the ATL, 30-plus years experience in the construction cold storage industry, founder and CEO of Griffco Design Build. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Griffin.
Welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to talk with you.
Yeah, I went gangster and I said ATL. Sorry, Scott.
That's all good, man. That's what we are down here, gangsters.
Yeah, so your intro short and sweet. I love it. I'm sure most of our guests probably already know who you are, but we actually have a lot of new listeners out there, which we appreciate all the support.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself that they might not know?
Well, I'm born in South Carolina. I went to University of South Carolina, traveled around the world. My dad was an Air Force. I'm an Air Force brat. My dad was in the Air Force. So growing up, I lived in Florida, Alaska, and the Philippines. And then I went to high school in South Carolina and college at University of South Carolina. Then I got different jobs. I got a degree in marketing, believe it or not. So just got different jobs and worked my way through. And,
nice.
That's kind of the short story. I went to, as far as my career and how I got here, so I wasn't a very good student at the University of South Carolina. I got out with a 2.1 GPA.
Okay.
I did graduate in 4 years, so I was proud of that. So,
Yeah.
Hey,
but I was living on so I was living on a friend's couch after I got out of college. No good prospects at the time, and so I ended up working in a kitchen to kind of pay the bills, and I was riding a bicycle to work, and I was kind of a loser really at the time. And I ended up beating the guy that owned the restaurant, or one of the guys that owned it, and we kind of became friends, and we went out for cocktails sometimes at this nice restaurant, and I ended up meeting a guy named Cliff Judy, who turns out his father was the co-founder of Colonial Life Insurance. So he was very wealthy, and he pretty much hired me on the spot to go to work for him. So I ended up driving him around, and, I went into commercial real estate with him, and it was interesting. He was a little kooky, but a good guy. Just his dad gave him $1 million when he turned 21, and that was a long time ago.
Boy.
So anyway,
$21
$1 million goes a long way, that long ago, man.
That long ago, it was long. I got out of school in '82, so I went to work for him in '83. So that's when. So he was already 40 years old. So anyway, he was wealthy, and he took me and another guy on a trip to the Bahamas in his boat and stuff. I don't know, just my life. So anyway, so I worked for him for about a year and sold some real estate to a church in Columbia. And then I ended up going to work for a company in Walterboro, South Carolina called Best Steel. And Best Steel did modular buildings. They did the canopies over gas stations, and they were based out in California. They were in the City of Industry, and they would go around building Shell stations and mobile stations. Had 3 plants across the country. So I worked for them for a couple of years down in Walterboro. Then I got a job in Michigan. I went up there to work, unrelated to construction. Then that didn't work out. So the son of the owner of Best Steel got made VP of sales in California, and we'd met at a trade show and hit it off. And so I moved to California when I was like 25, 26 years old. And I guess I moved all my earthly belongings in 5 boxes UPS, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So I ended up moving to Newport Beach and hanging out at Newport Beach for a couple of years working with him, and had a great time out there. And then I moved back to Atlanta here to work in the precast business. And eventually that turned into a job with a company called Barton Mallow. And then from Barton Mallow, they hired me to sell jails. And then they shut down that division 7 months after they hired me. I think that actually was the only time I was ever laid off that I recall. Wow. But anyway, so I did that. And then I got a call from Stellar Group, and they hired me in 1993, and the rest is history. So
it is.
Man. And I love that story.
Yeah.
Only because you and I we feel that. We feel your beginning. I mean, it's, working in a kitchen, starting from the bottom, connections, like that's everything. Like everything you did, and I'm a big believer in everything you do each day is a step in whatever direction you're going to take in your career. It's the people you meet, the things you do on a daily basis. And, you taking that job in the kitchen and biking to work, and that gave you an opportunity to meet the next guy, right? Which gave you an opportunity to meet the next guy, which gave you an opportunity to meet the next guy. And here you are sitting behind your own desk at Griffco Design Build, the company you started. And that's awesome.
It's very cool. Well,
Hey.
let me ask real quick. When you went to Stellar, did you immediately start working in like the industrial, the cold storage industry, or was that a different entry into kind of?
Well, when I got there, Stellar was just I think they did 44 million the year before. I mean, they had a pretty big jump to like 80 million maybe when I was there for 2 years. And I was a business development guy, and they were only doing cold storage. They were doing a bunch of US Coals and some Winn-Dixie. They had a refrigeration group, panel group. They were like they are today, but I mean, they probably, I guess, may have 40 people, maybe they were doing, but they self-performed a lot of stuff. So they were small. I was a business development guy. So I went out and sold different, I would just bang the phones every day, looking for work. And, I was able to find some, good opportunities, just really tenacity. I mean, I'm pretty hard on business development people because I know that I always had a goal of making 50 cold calls a day, and so it's not easy. You take a lot of rejection, but if you can't take rejection, you don't make it in this world, in my opinion. I mean,
very true.
You have to understand rejection. So, I did that. I found some pretty good deals for them. So
Scott, you rejected me for years, bro. Trust me. I feel you.
That is not the story. I was never.
And then you said, listen, young buck, you need to learn rejection before I give you anything. And I said, yes, sir.
Did I really? Well, that's when you started. Well, that's because you were with the firm that would never even price me. They refused to even give me a price for various political reasons.
I would see you, Scott, at trade shows, and I'd run in the other direction, man. I'd be like, I'm scared of this guy. No, thank you.
How long have you been? How long have you had your own business? Like 4 years now or something?
Almost.
Are we almost
4? Okay.
Holy
well, what about the other 15 years?
I'm kidding.
That's
awesome.
No. I listen. I'm open.
Hey man, starting companies is exciting and certainly not easy. And I think we both share that in common. Your story is incredible. Tell us about Griffco. Tell us how you started the company.
Yeah.
I've seen your LinkedIn post 3-4 months ago, and like it's like I'm not crying. Are you crying? It was awesome. I mean, it's a great story. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. So we started. I was working with. I went from Stellar to a couple other companies, and I joined one company that's very successful in the industry, and they were small at the time, and I was able to help them build a company some, and we went their separate ways. But so I started my company in 2007, and September 2007, and it was right after I started it, the crash came.
Yes,
so in October of 2008. So it was interesting. I basically I was able to get some work. You'll like this. The first project I ever did was called Fresh Frozen Foods, and it was about a 2.5. I don't even think it was that big. I think it was like $1.5 million freezer expansion. So 12,000 square foot freezer expansion.
Wow.
Okay.
12,000 square feet.
Yeah. 12,000 square feet. And the funny thing was, and I really, truth is, I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never even seen a pay app before. I was always a business development guy. So I had to hire people who knew how to do, the real project management and all that. So it was, but, I knew how to kind of estimate it and sell it and all that. But so we did the So the first client, his name was Bill Griffin, and he, I used to call him Cuz, so we would sit in our pay app, and his CFO would go in and write a check and hand it to our superintendent the same day. It was amazing when we sent our invoices. So
yeah, of
I
course.
was like, couldn't have had a better client, So then the project manager I had, we were adding on to this building, and you'll love this. So the existing building is sandstone color, right? It's like this tan color, right?
Yeah.
The panels show up white. Okay. So my project manager is like freaking out and everything. I said, yeah, well, maybe, we should have had that figured out. But so we go to the client, and he says, oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, so to this day, I can show you a picture of the building where it's brown and white, and he's like, no, that's okay. Not a problem. I could have been out of business. I couldn't afford it to replace all the panels with a different color, at the time.
Oh my
I don't know what I've done. So,
holy cow.
What a story.
you'll love that, huh? So,
Dude, that's awesome. Hey, you can
So
always
I-
paint them. You can always paint them.
yeah, you could. Yeah, well, good point. That's
Been down
probably
Which,
Been down
which
that
we've
road.
had to do many
Been down that
times.
road before.
well, good point. Back then, he just said that's okay, so he didn't care. So it worked out. We did some other nice projects and just small stuff and all that. We'll come to 2009. There was just no work at all. I mean, it was dead. So I pretty much went through my life savings. The kids were in private school, and I had a couple of houses and country club membership and all that. And I never changed it. I was going down the tubes, man. I never paid myself a dime the first 2 years. And so it was going down the tubes pretty fast. And I ended up at the very end of 2009, very first of 2010, I signed a contract with a small company called 12 Baskets to do about a 20,000. It was 2.4. I think it was a 20,000 square foot expansion of a freezer and a cool dock, right? And in order to keep the company going, I had to borrow 80 grand from my IRA in order to put some cash infusion in the company, which I only paid back 40 and paid the penalty, just to get it going. So at that time I had 3 employees, and I hired a guy on a contract basis here, and he managed the project, and we were able to be successful on that. And that was 2010, and I was 50 years old. So I started the company at 47, and I was pretty much broke at 50. So I was close. I was probably 3 or 4 months from really just kind of having to shut it down. I was getting ready to go through my IRA. That's all the money I had left, and it wasn't a ton. So I always felt like, my wife was very supportive, but I did not, like I said, I didn't change. The kids never knew the difference, so I never changed anything. I said, what, I feel like I can get a job to pay my bills. So I was eventually I could find somebody to pay me enough to pay my bills, based on my experience, I guess. So anyway, so we almost went down, but we made it. And so the company started growing from there. Some good clients that I had from good relationships. From there on, HEB was one. We got a project in, I guess, 2011 that was bigger than any, it was like $24 million project back then. That was big.
Wow.
And it was bigger than any year we'd ever had. And so we got them that project, and then, a bunch of other projects. And so it's kind of grown consistently there. So a couple of things that happened. The guy who I hired on contract basis to do the 12 Baskets job, he did the HEB job. He was overqualified for what he was doing. So he used to be develop self-storage before the crash, so he came to me one day and wanted to start a self-storage division. So I said, sure. So I cut a deal with him for him to get a percentage of the gross profit of anything I ever did. And, since then he sold over $300 million worth of construction and self-storage. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. So we've been doing it over 10 years now. We started in 2011, doing our first one. And so that division now, we got 15 going right now. So
that's incredible.
So that grew. And then one day, because of this is how the stories all work, I was using that to be competitive. I said, well, man, I'm not scared of those pre-engineered buildings, because most people are in cold storage. They don't want to do it because there's some little things you got to do different, right? And that's just buying something out of catalog, so you got to work out the details. So we did. So I started selling. That first job we did was fresh frozen foods, and it was a pre-engineered building, right? The freezer expansion was 12,000 square foot. We did a pre-engineered building. So that guy gave me a lead because he had just done a soundstage in Wilmington, North Carolina with another company, but that guy didn't travel. So this client, Screen Gym Studios, needed a design builder to build some sound stages for him in Atlanta. So he gave the guy my name, and he had 3 guys he took proposals from. I met him out there, and it might have taken 6 weeks, right? So I met him out there, and this kudzu covered Lakewood Fairgrounds area, was kind of a mess. And so we went, I gave him a proposal, and I called him. I said, I'll send that proposal over. And he said, no, how much is it? What's your bid? I said, 2.6 million. This is a 40,000 square foot soundstage. Now they cost like way more than that. But So anyway, he says, you're low, not by much, but I like you. We're going to work with you. Before I even sent him the freaking proposal. So I was like, okay, something's going right here. So we stayed there 3 years building stuff on that site. So we were renovating offices and, doing sound stages. And he basically taught us how to do sound stages. Wow. So I know it's not related to cold storage, but it's kind of part of the whole story, when
cool.
So cool. We have, that's how it works. You just so now we have 3 groups that work in 3 areas. We're diversified and kind of keep things going when something's slow. So anyway, so we went through that. So today, you fast forward to today, we have about 70 employees, and we did 200 million in revenue this year. So
congratulations.
Congrats, my friend.
Well, that's kind of the story.
Kind of the story. That's kind of the story. Wow, I love it.
It's a good story.
Great clients are lifesavers. We've all had them. I mean, we all have them, and but they're so vital to the startup and beginning of a company, because you need a great client in your first year of business to really kick things off. So yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
Very cool.
Well, what keeps you? So you worked with Stellar, then you said a couple other companies in there, then you started Griffco, and you have 3 kind of divisions. What do you love most about like the cold storage? What kept you interested and wanting to kind of spend more of your career creating these buildings?
Well, I mean, that's where I spend 80% of my time. I mean, I've been going to IRAW for at least 20, 25 years. So it's really the relationships. I mean, it's a close-knit group. It's changed a lot just because of all the mergers and acquisitions, but back in the day, we go and there'd be, 40 different cold storage companies, and, you get to know them all. And it was a good time. And, I made some good friends in the industry, and, it's just the relationships, it's a close-knit group. The manufacturers of the panels, the Rytec and the freezer doors, I mean, there's just same people there, and, all the time. And I just like picking on people, give them a hard time. So I enjoy, so
I know the feeling.
I feel like in industry, you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Chase at Rytec, I always give him a hard time. I say, Chase, where's your order pad? Because I know all you sit here and do is take orders all day. I mean, I wish I had your job, man. So
we tell Chase the same thing. Seriously.
I always ask him if he has a pencil. Do you need a pencil? I mean, I know you got to write some orders up today. So anything.
Every job I'm on, every single one. Can we do the high-speed doors? Oh, we already got it covered. Buying Rytec. Rytec. Which we love because they're a great sponsor.
They're a great sponsor of Cool Times.
Yeah,
Chase is a fantastic.
They are, and they have the best. Well, I shouldn't say that on this game, but they have. I like their doors.
Listen, you have your opinion, and we all. I mean, I come from the door industry 7 years, and I've seen them all, sold against them all, installed them all. So I have my likes and dislikes about every single product, and it's okay to have a favorite. I think their door is fantastic. When I was selling against them, I was selling Enviro, and they introduced the insulated turbo seal door, right? And the little 1-inch thick mattress type material, but it's a high speed roll up door. So now we would always knock the high speed roll up doors because they weren't insulated, and you have to put heat and spend all this money to keep the frost off them. Well, here comes Rytech with an insulated roll-up door. And we're like, what? And this thing's moving at freaking 120 inches a second. We're like, okay, this is going to be fun to sell against. So they make a great product. And there's all these other guys coming to the market though too. And you know, Jamison, and you know, they've partnered with that Italian firm, and you know, their BMP product. They brought a manufacturing plant to the United States, and they're starting to make high-speed roll-up doors, and we used them. They're fantastic. A different technology, interesting, and yeah. Is it Albany anymore? No, it's Assa Abloy and Horman. Horman is out there. I mean, there's so many different players out there making these.
Yeah, no, and we're open-minded. It's just, you know,
it's crazy.
Sometimes, and the client decides to do a lot of stuff, just like refrigeration. In this business, refrigeration is kind of a, you know, the client decides most of the time.
Yeah, that's true. Client, it's funny. Clients pick out like 3 things they want in a building. I think doors is one of them. Like they want a certain door.
Yep.
They want certain refrigeration. What else do they pick out, Scott? They have to have
dock levelers, probably.
Dock levelers.
Sometimes they have specific people they like there, and there's really refrigeration. You know, maybe fire protection a little bit, but you know, you can. Some of them are commodities. Some of them are more localized. But when you come to the IMP, you know, I mean, they do have generally not as big a preference on the actual manufacturer, I don't think, you know, that I can tell. I mean, some of them, there used to be one that had problems back in the day that nobody wanted for a while there, but I won't name them. But they got bought and have moved around. So, you know, as far as we're concerned, we see the same companies most of the time. And, you know, so I think one of the things that's helped, you know, and give Dean Soul credit, he came up with the
tequila. God, every time Dean Soul's name comes up on these podcasts, we have to drink tequila. Thank you.
Okay, good. Well, I don't have any right now, so
either do we.
We don't. That's coffee today.
We have coffee today.
So, yeah, even though he would never price me on a job, I still have to give him. I have to throw that in, but. You know, I have to give them credit because, you know, doing true, they did the taller panels. They figured it out. Now, instead of doing a 3 high stack on a tall ASRS building, we can do a 2 high stack. And, you know, that's great. And, you know, now with the taller quell that you do, it's, you know, it was, you know, before I think about, nobody would make us generally made over 60 foot because you can't haul them down the road too well. But, you know, nowadays you can go taller and, you know, I think, you know, I believe he kind of drove that. So good for him.
Yeah. Awesome. It's interesting because when you come from the business and, you know, he bought panels for 20 years, right? So, and he got to work with when you get to work with every single manufacturer and see, you know, advantages, disadvantages, you can kind of start molding in your mind the perfect world or the perfect case scenario product. And they did a great job bringing that to life. I mean, they really did.
They did.
So kudos to them for sure.
Yep. Right. So now you got multiple options and hopefully the prices come down a little bit. So that's kind of where we are now. So
yeah, I see it. I mean, this, you know, it's beginning of 2023 and we're starting to see some things decline and getting a little more competition out there. I mean, the activity is still very high and we just hope everything kind of holds and people stay confident in everything going on and you know, we can keep building badass buildings that win Built by the Best awards, Scott.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I know somebody did that.
So
congratulations.
Yeah, congrats, my friend.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We're very honored.
That's what we're here to talk about right now, my friend. So you recently won the CEBA Built by the Best award for the Controlled Environment Building Association this past year, and it was your Maricold project. So it's exciting, and we want to give you the floor, and we want you to talk about that project and ins and outs and what it means to win, and take the floor, Scott.
Well, it's interesting when we first started working with Maricold, we were looking at a project in Rochelle, Illinois, and I knew I met the new people coming in from Super Value there, and you know, we kind of hit it off because I knew a lot about the supply chain from my days at Facility Group, you know, and all, and so we kind of hit it off. I think part of their deal was they really wanted to come in kind of secretively. So they selected us. You know, we had done one ASRS before. to kind of be their partner on their spec or what they call market project. So the first one was in Rochelle, and then, that one went really well for us. And then by the time they finished that, they were moving into another project at Gateway in Atlanta, and so we were just put on the team. There was a different automation vendor there, but we ended up working on that project, and it was a complicated project because they liked a lot of technology. One, they had quite a, they'd have case pick, they'd have layer pick, they would have ASRS cranes, which frankly is the easiest part of it. But they went 148 foot tall, which is not, that's pretty tall. So they tall, and they had a loop around the building that carried the product from one part to the other. They had pallet shuttles, they had case shuttles, they had everything. So a lot of stuff going on. They had a rail dock, they had a truck dock, they had 20,000 feet of office, they had some low bay freezer, they had a lot, so like I said, there was a lot going on. And then we built it all through COVID. And we were fortunate that it was before the escalation really hit. So we really didn't have to deal with escalation. It was more just trying to get things to the site. And we were able to get through that fairly easily, but the rack was coming from Spain. So they had to get the rack there from Spain, and it got a little bit behind. And so we ended up having to put lights on the job. And when they finally got the materials there, they wanted to go 24 hours a day. And so we had to do that and set up the in-rack sprinklers that way and set up the lights and get it all going. And we worked very well as a team. So it was a complicated project. It was all ended up on budget and on schedule. So it was a real big victory for us. And I think it says a lot that when we go to present for an award like that, the head guy of international construction for the whole Americold shows up, and the guy, Daryl Wolfenberger, Doug Carmel and Daryl Wolfenberger both showed up, for the presentation. So we didn't know we were winning at that time. So they showed up ahead of time. So they, so I think that says a lot. So we still work with them, and we did a second phase on that project before the other one was done. So I think it went real well. So
That's awesome.
And just SEBA in itself, we fly a little under the radar, probably just we're not as, we don't have as many, owners and as many, business development people and all that as some companies do. So we're not quite as well known out there, but so it's helpful to us to get the recognition. And I think we were proud to be able to win it. It's obviously a huge award for us, and a huge award for the industry. So thrilled to be there. So.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. Your video you guys put together, Jen and I watched it, and it was very well done because you dealt with it too. And let's talk about escalation, because I don't think we give enough credit where credit's due to a lot of the vendors and suppliers out there during that time, because, when we buy a lot of stuff just before this escalation hits, and all of a sudden all their stuff didn't really ship out yet, but they hold their price, and now they're paying all these higher prices, and they're still holding true in their word to the price they promised you. So, and a lot of them took a bath on profit and margins. And so I think it's a great opportunity to recognize them also. This award does that. You get to call out all the partners involved in the project. And so, this
You did a great job of that in your video.
Yeah, this is a great job.
I think we had 42 SEBA partners, somewhere between 35.
Can you name them all right now?
Sure.
For the sake of time, we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that.
No, I could read them.
No, but that's it's a great platform for all the vendors and suppliers to get their name out there and say, hey, I partnered on this project. I think it's something to be proud of. And
it is.
Yeah, it's cool that SEBA does this, and this Built by the Best award that SEBA does is getting more and more popular. There's more and more submissions, and it's a very hard thing to win. I'm on the board. I'm not in that committee for a selection at all. People always say, hey, who's going to win? Who's going to win? I don't know.
Right.
They don't even tell.
They shouldn't tell you. You're really bad at keeping secrets.
There's 5 people that know who wins and on the committee, and that's it. And they don't tell anybody who wins that award. I mean, I went up to Matt Ott and I'm like, yo, bro, who's going to win? He's like, not telling. I'm like, what? Yeah. So they don't, lips are sealed, man. They do a great job with that.
we thought we had a good opportunity just because we knew how tough a project it was. So we did
Mhm.
put some time and effort in getting a professional video made and all that. I think, those kind of things help, but
It does.
and getting
Yeah.
input from Americold and all that.
Mhm.
Back to escalation, I think, the thing that the owners have been pretty good so far. We've had some escalation here and there, not as bad as most, I think, but
Mhm.
we've been able to work through it with owners and all that. And then, because sometimes we give them price way before pretty early. And I just tell them, man, we got to lock everything in. So we give them initial budget, then we finish like 60% of the design, and then we finalize the GMP. And unfortunately, during those times, there was a jump. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
and of course, they're not going to like it, but they don't understand it. But eventually, as the word got out of the whole thing and what's going on, they kind of understood. So finally, we're able to get the contracts with some escalation clauses in them now. I mean, or back then somewhat, but some of the first ones we didn't have that. So we were stuck holding the bag on a few things that we had to work through, but we were fortunate. It didn't hurt anything too bad. So like the roofing, all the contracts we do now with roofing, we just put it in as an allowance because, it's funny. You got to give the roofing company an order, but, oh, by the way, we can't tell you how much it's going to cost or when you're going to get it. Right. But if you don't give us an order now, you're not going to get in line and get your slot. So, you don't have a choice. So then, but we've got that in our contract with the owner, and we tell them, listen, guys, they had the whole thing with the plant in Texas, and that was the first problem. I don't know if that solved it. Do you know? Did they ever get that plant back up? That
After the deep freeze a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Good question. I don't know.
I don't
Are you
know.
talking about the chemical plant?
Yeah, well, that was what was feeding the whole thing. At first, that was the problem. There's a freeze down in Dallas, right? The plant, they had to shut down the plant with all the foam and whatever it is inside the piping. So they had to basically rebuild the plant, is what I was told.
It was South Texas. I mean, it was even further south than
Oh,
Dallas.
was it?
We're in Dallas. We're 30 minutes north of Dallas, and we can get kind of that cold front come in from the north, and we can get in the single digits for like a day or two. This thing was like 2 months straight of like freezing temperatures, and it pushed so far south. I mean, that's when we moved here. We moved here literally.
We moved here right after that happened.
We moved here in May after that happened. So like a month after all that went down, we moved here. So I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't here. No.
Well, it's
I don't know if they fixed it.
The panel industry back then because they couldn't get the materials to make the foam. So it was something about that.
Chemical was brutal. Usually it's, all the years I've been doing panels is, hey, there's steel increase, so the panel price is going to go up. Steel increase, panel price is going to go up. And now we're getting letters every month and a half saying, chemicals going up. And it went from huge price increases and getting these letters to now we get put in allocation.
Yeah.
So Scott, we could only, they would used to make 40,000 square feet of panel for us a week in their slot. And then they moved it down to 15,000 to 20,000 square feet. So when you got a big, $80 million Americold you're trying to build with 120,000 square feet of panel, and you want all that panel to deliver in, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, and all of a sudden you got to times it by 2 because it cuts your allocation in half. So there goes your schedule. And we're going to install more panel. We're going to install more than 15,000 square feet, in that time frame. So it was a juggling act for sure.
And part of it is we're not able to always know what's going on, whereas I know how people are. They think that everybody kind of knows what's going on in their business, but they don't, right? Like, I don't know that. I don't know that they're giving allocations and they're doing that. I know the prices have gone up a whole lot, which is understandable, but we have to be aware because we're looking at like right now, switchgear is, they'll tell you 60 weeks for, and even transformers down here. We had a struggle with getting a transformer. They were telling us for 70 weeks or something on transformers, and they're not even our responsibility on a project that you're familiar with, So we just got word though that may be able to be delivered in April. So on that particular project, which will keep us out of the woods, because what we did is we actually paid $100,000 extra out of our own pocket in order to get the switchgear there on time. I'm like, I just said, okay. So, but the truth is we ended up having to, we built their schedule based on when the contract said we could get it. So we saved that much money in general conditions by paying that extra money. So that's some people, even the owner was like, why would he do that? And I was like, well, because, we want to get out of there. So it's kind of nuts. I mean, I think it's settling down. Steel was coming down again, but I hear it's kind of going back up. I mean, it's, I can't keep up with it, really. So, yeah,
Me neither.
It is what it is.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But we're at the point in the show, which is one of my favorite points, where we get to ask you about your cool moment in the industry. And you've been in it for many years. You've had a lot of different roles. So we would love for you to give us your cool moment involving you or Griffco or the industry. And we'd like to thank our friends at Vapor Armor for sponsoring this cool moment today.
Yeah. Well, I thought about it, and I think one of the real cool moments we had is when we finished topping out the rack on the Rochelle project in Illinois for Maricold. It was right around July 4th, and we put the Christmas tree on top, and we put a big American flag up there, and we took some pictures of it, and I thought that was pretty damn cool. So
that is cool.
That's one thing. And
I saw those photos. Those are cool.
Yeah. So just what's that?
I saw those photos. It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were proud of that. I think that was really cool. And I think the other thing is a lot of people don't know this, but I lost my third employee, Jamie Smith. He died of pancreatic cancer. So it's sad, and it's hard for me to get through talking about it most of the time. But anyway, so we started this award, the Jamie Smith Superintendent of the Year Award. So I think that's really cool. We have awarded 3 times. It's our 3rd year that we've done it. And, everybody looks forward to that. Being able to do that and recognize him for his contribution to the company. It was a big one. So we're proud of that. And I think that's really cool. We give a total of 7 awards. That's the top award, and they get $10,000 plus a trophy and some recognition, and bring them in. And we award the other teams within the company. And part of that's just letting people know that's the culture here, because I think one thing, we've developed a really good culture here. 2 quick things. We've never had a lawsuit in the history of the company here at Griffco. Not one lawsuit, up or down. And we pay the subs the day after we get paid.
Culture, baby. I love that.
Culture is a big thing.
Giving back, that's huge. I mean, it's something that Jen and I look at all the time. Like anything, where can we save money as a company? What can we do different to give back to the employees, to be different than our competition? People don't leave good companies, even if it's for a little bit more money on the top. People don't leave for that. You know what I mean? People don't leave over that. They leave because of the culture and the company they're in. They don't like, That's my opinion. But
yeah, I think us, it's more about I really focus on the superintendents, the guys in the field, because that's where the rubber hits the road. So I always tell them, if they need anything, just call. We look at per diems, we adjust per diems, we do, I always err on the side of the superintendent, because they're the guys out there in the field, and we've done a good job of keeping those guys. I mean, because I think they like working here. And one of the other things is that my daughter is in charge of marketing here. So she's in charge of swag. Okay. So I've never seen it. So I was hiring a new super, and I hadn't met him yet, but I was walking by the conference room, and there's this huge stack, this huge bag with the stack of all the swag they get when they show up, with Griffco. And there's this new hard hat on top of it. So I'm walking by, and the guy says, "Man, welcome to the company," and all that. I said, "Man, that's a pretty good haul right there." And he says, "Yeah, I've never seen anything like that." He said, "I've never had a company give me a new hard hat when they hired me." So the funny thing is, my daughter will send out emails to all the supers in the field, and she'll say, hey, do y'all need anything? I mean,
the floodgates open, baby.
Oh yeah, I mean, so shirts and hats and jackets and all the stuff. So as far as Griffco swag, she gets to be Santa Claus every day around here.
Love it.
Yeah. Jenna gets to be Santa Claus every day.
I do the swag for us as well. He designs it. I give it out.
Yeah.
Good at it.
We're trying to do better on our hats. We don't have quite as cool a stuff as y'all do, but we're trying to get there. We've taken some of our younger superintendents and Mary Margaret worked with them to do a better design of the on the hats. So I think we're getting better. So
you know, Scott, have your people reach out to my people. I'll tell you how to get cool hats. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's Mary Margaret is my people, my daughter. So she's
I know she does a great job with your stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask, you're a sales guy, growing up, business development guy. So was I. We share a lot in common in that. Also, our love for wine, we'll get to later. But this is my favorite question. Why should folks, or why should anyone buy from Griffco?
I think it's kind of the personal touch. I mean, it's a service level. We don't try to be all things to all people. We really look for partners who we work well together, and you know, we don't want, you know, that value our efforts and our service. And you know, we're fortunate to have a lot of repeat business. We really look at it like if we get 2 or 3 new clients a year and they do some repeat business, then we've got to, because over the years it's been a pretty slow grow. It hasn't been, you know, meteoric. I can't even say that word today. Meteoric. I can't even say it. Meteoric. What is that word?
Sure.
Can y'all say it?
No.
Mediocrity.
Meteors.
Meteors.
Meteoric. Is that a word? I don't know. I don't know. That's a word, man.
Asteroid.
It's been astronaut. Well, just regular growth. How about that? We haven't taken off huge. So there you go. So I think we offer a good service. We're kind of a boutique in a lot of ways. We've grown to 200 million, but you know, the projects are bigger now. And I think we just really want to do a good job for the clients we have and focusing on that. We don't, you know, we're not out bidding lots and lots of work. We negotiate, you know, not all of it, but most of our work is somewhat negotiated, somewhat select bid, but you know, we're able to, and I'm involved in a lot of stuff, you know, so a lot of people like it. They can deal, you know, they know they can call me, you know, they can look, they're not dealing with, you know, if you're with a big company, you know, you're not going to get the same level of service, or, you know, if we have an issue, you know, we can get on the phone and resolve it. And that's why we haven't had any lawsuits. You know, we just, we work stuff out, and the key is planning though. You got to plan the job right. You got to have great field people. I mean, that's, you know, if we plan it and design it right and it all goes together good in the field, and, you know, and you got good people in the field, that's where the rubber hits the road. So I think we have that. And I think we like to, you know, I think that's the advantage of the Griffco advantage really is just,
I mean, you do, and I'm going to use the word boutique. You might not like it, but I kind of look at
that's what I use.
I look at you guys that way. So whatever you're doing, it's working. And dude, you called me on Saturday, you pick up your phone on Sunday, dude, you're not the guy that is going to sit back in the shadows. I mean, Scott, you're involved and you work around the clock, and all that shows.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. I tell them all I'm 24/7. So
that's
around here.
I can relate.
So I can relate. We're the same way.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes of the whole team too. I mean, you know, a client has, you know, Georgia got cold, right? Georgia got cold.
Yep.
And sprinkler pipe burst, floods the top of an IMP ceiling. All this water just piles up and just, you know, a 10 by 10 or 20 by 20.
I saw the pictures.
Portion of the ceiling just collapses and caves in. There's water everywhere. Christmas Eve. Dude.
Was that what, you know, I was really just the conduit there. So, you know, but,
but still, I mean,
at least you answered, and, you know, we got it pulled together. I, you know, obviously appreciate it. I mean, it was good that you had people in the area. So, I mean, you know, it was
bottom line is that's what we do though. I mean, you know, I got the call on, it was Christmas Eve. It was Saturday. You called and texted, and I got out of the gym, and I'm like, uh-oh, problem. And, you know,
you're at the gym
within,
you haven't seen a 6-pack lately?
Yeah.
Is it a 12-pack now, or 6-pack or 12-pack?
Come on. Anyways.
Sorry.
You know, I think within a week, a lot of people pulled through, and they had restoration there and cleanup, and all the trades got there, and we buttoned that bad boy up. And I think the next Tuesday, Wednesday, after it all happened, when everything got cleaned up, we were there. I mean,
Mhm.
you know,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I mean, yeah,
It's part
this
of
isn't
it's what we
about me,
do, right?
Scott. This is about you.
I get it. No. Well,
But
hey,
it's about like that relationship, those partnerships, the things that you're willing to do for the
Mhm.
people that you've built
Yeah.
your relationships with. So
that's right.
that's
So
good.
it's
Let,
I'm not sure that answered the question that you
It,
asked.
it,
right?
it answered the
Okay.
question.
I'm not-
Absolutely. I
but
appreciate the
that's-
plug, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
well,
Well, tell our audience, how can people find out more about Scott Griffin, about Griffco Design Build? Where are you located? Your website? How you're on the socials? Let our audience know kind of if they want to find out more information, if they want to see that cool video, which I think we could probably put.
well, it's griffcodesignbuild.com
Mhm.
is the website, and we are Griffco Design Build on LinkedIn. As far as getting a hold of us, it's there's a way there, and you can email me at sgriffin@griffcodesignbuild.com. So
There you go.
That's
you
awesome.
know, I'm always available and always looking
All
for new partners out there,
Yep.
including vendors. You know,
Mhm.
we don't always know who's who out there, and we've hired a new pre-con guy, and we're trying to do a better job of making sure we're aware of all the people out there. So
Yeah.
we look at it, we really look at it that, we are our subs, in a lot of ways. We design it, we drive it, we take the risk and put the numbers together. But, you gotta have great subs, and you gotta have good partners. And we try to negotiate work so we can bring in the guys we know we can do the work with, not just a low price. So,
Yep.
so,
Yep. I'm sure they can find you at trade shows. How many trade shows do you go to a year? You personally?
we're big at IREW or GCCA, what I'm used to calling it IREW, the old main conference. And then SEBA, of course, is a great conference. We don't go to a lot more than that. I don't really go to, we're mostly on the cold. We don't go to all the food processing stuff necessarily. We probably will start doing more of that,
Mhm.
but those are the ones we really focus on. We do go to we will be at Modex here in Atlanta, the material handling show here in
Yeah,
Atlanta.
sure.
So we go to that.
Sure.
We were there 2 years ago, and we run into a lot of the automation people and stuff. So we will be there this year.
What's your favorite trade show?
It's got to be IREW.
Yeah.
I like SEBA, but for me, IREW is where my clients always have gone. I've been going for 20, 25 years, and
Sure.
I've had a lot of fun, met a lot of great people. And, it's funny because you walk around now and there's just so many new people, developers and real estate people and all that, which is great. It's all different. But now, there's so fewer mom and pops and, other companies left. But, the same vendors, a lot of them are there. So it's always great to see people like Chase and
I was just gonna say, Chase.
he's always there. So
He
I
is.
always get the gift card. I know in the hotel. So
Yes, he's very generous.
I'm sure you get yours.
We do.
What are you
Okay.
talking about?
Exactly. I was like, so everybody out there, make sure Chase is giving you his gift certificate when you go to these shows.
Well, there goes
you're
your
welcome.
discount, Scott.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Chase.
I love it, dude. That is awesome. Well, Scott, I want to be cognizant of your time. We're getting to the last segment of the show, the cool wraparound questions that's sponsored by Vapor Armor, where I'm going to ask you just a bunch of fun this or that questions. You answer one or the other. You ready to roll?
I'm ready.
All right. Box and box construction or ground up construction?
Box and box.
Cold drink or cold beer?
Cold drink.
Cab or blend wine?
Cab.
Are you Freon or ammonia refrigeration guy?
Ammonia.
Beach or poolside?
Beach.
Ocean or mountains?
Ocean.
Oh, you told me you used to ski. Come on, man.
Still prefer
you
the
know,
tropics now.
That was before I injured myself and I got old and I don't like cold weather anymore.
Fair enough.
Fair.
Hey, Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
All right.
I'm personally, I like Diet Pepsi better than Diet Coke, but I'll go Coke. Coke Zero.
There you go. Oh, I love
That's a
Coke
good
Zero.
one.
Love Coke Zero. All right. Last but not least, my favorite, Justin Timberlake or Justin Bieber?
Timberlake.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, hey, he
That's
did you know, he did this when he did the CMAs with Chris Stapleton. And,
Oh,
I
That
don't know
was
if you've ever seen that. I
awesome.
replay that on YouTube out of my my back pavilion sometimes when we've had a few cocktails. So he's awesome.
He's
He
that performance still goes down as the best live performance of all time. I don't
Mhm.
know why. I just posted it on my Facebook like literally a month ago, just
did.
randomly. I was watching the YouTube video again of that. I do the same thing. I will blast it every now and again. That Chris Stapleton and that JT combo at
That was awesome.
yeah, that was awesome. That was really
The
cool.
best.
It was the best. It was so cool.
The only other
It's-
one I would say that's close is Ann Wilson when she did Led Zeppelin at the Washington Awards. If you haven't seen that, Hart
Oh.
Ann Wilson, she did Stairway to Heaven
Uh-huh.
in
Mhm.
front of, and Led Zeppelin's in the audience, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant and all those guys. If
Mhm.
you want one to watch, that's right up there.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. I am gonna watch that because I like a good little live performance. So, final questions, Jenna,
I'm good.
Scott. Anything? You
No,
good?
no, I'm good.
Man,
I appreciate the giving me the opportunity to come on.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank
yeah.
you for your time. Thank you for sharing your stories with us, and congratulations
Yeah.
on your Built by the Best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this guy comes from riding his bike to work, working in a kitchen, just wheeling, dealing, and mingling, working his way up to fantastic. I would say,
Like an entrepreneur.
no, I was.
Oh.
Can this be one of the funny? We used to okay, so we used to do like, and we still do. We'll do like funny outtakes and clips after the YouTube video is done. So we, we're available. Just so you guys know, quick cheap plug. Our podcast, you can listen to it for free on Apple Podcast. We'll do a short little 30-second video clip of it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
All the
LinkedIn,
socials.
all the socials, Cool Times Podcast. But YouTube, you can watch this video on YouTube. And so hit the little red subscribe button, help us out. But at the very end, we'll sometimes do.
Sometimes there's bloopers.
There's bloopers at the end. Like when I introduced the show, Scott, I did it on one take this time, but sometimes it takes like 3 times to do the take.
Yep,
Yeah.
it
And
does.
the bloopers are funny. But anyways, no. Anyways, you lost me here. But
Okay.
Scott riding his bike to work, working at the kitchen, to wheeling, dealing, and mingling and creating. I was going to use the term
Destiny? Dynasty?
did you say destiny?
I totally did.
We're not at a strip club.
Yeah.
Anyways,
how about a legend in his own mind, or
There we
there you
go.
or
See, this is why we need
industry legend, or
oh my God.
industry.
Jenna's gonna never let me finish my train of thought, so I'm
No,
gonna break
no.
it down simple. You created this badass company that is just, I mean, you got to be proud of yourself and your people and what you've done, Scott. Your story is incredible.
Mhm.
We thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I think it's a story that needs to be heard.
Mhm.
And anyone out there that is struggling in something and doesn't know what to do in 2023 and might want to take that step and be an entrepreneur in anything they're doing whatsoever, man, you don't know unless you take that step forward and lean on and rely on your relationships and people to help. And it's okay to ask for help. Whatever
Absolutely.
you do in life, ask for help. And I think that's something that we can all fall back on and rely on.
That's something.
Never be scared to ask a question.
Absolutely.
That's right.
The one thing I always knew is I was always going to hire a lot of people smarter than me. And, you have to have humility and you have to ask questions, and don't be afraid that the question is stupid or that you get, because a lot of people these days, especially millennials, they struggle with communication to begin with. And then they've never been told no by their mama and daddy, and they can't take rejection, and it's difficult because they clam up. And you can't be afraid. You got to ask the questions. You got to go forward, man. And that's the one lesson I would tell people, is that just don't be afraid. Just do it.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't get anywhere worth it without the struggle. The struggle is there because it teaches you how to keep that humility.
That's right. You can't
That's true.
let no's get to you.
No.
I like that. We're gonna end back on the no. I like that.
Exactly.
See how we did that? That's
I
awesome.
see.
Well, Scott, thanks again. Congrats on creating such an awesome business and the Built by the Best award. on your project with the Maricold. And for everyone out there, please, have a listen to this one. This one was a good one. So Scott, thanks, brother. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.